I'd like to welcome you to the Home Buying Process 101. My name is Gabriel Smith-Kwanzaa with eXp Realty. I'm a real estate strategist, and I'd like to take you through this first leg of this series of program going to be titled The Home Buying Process. In this chapter, we're going to be considering your motivation, your dreams, as well as we're going to be also discussing what kind of market is important for you to know. All right, so let's dive right into it, and let's start with your motivation. Now, when you're considering your motivation, one of the things when you're buying a house, you got to think about why are you buying a house. It's very important to know that, because if you don't, you can, just in case if you come across with certain difficulty in the home buying process, you may feel that the process is too difficult, so you might want to get out because you feel doesn't really worth your while to continue the process. So one thing I always want to let people appreciate is that the home buying is an investment. It's going to be one of the biggest investments you're going to make in your lifetime. So it calls for a lot of scrutiny, a serious scrutiny and thinking about, so that you can actually know exactly what you want to do. It's very important in that case, because when you know your why you're buying the property, why you're trying to do certain things, it will help to solidify you in the process. This is very important because it's going to take you from step one to the end of the process. So determine your motivation. Why do I want to buy a house? Is it because my family size has increased? Or is this something I've been planning about a long time ago? Is it something I want to leave as a legacy for my family? Whatever the case is, it has to be determined, and you have to know exactly that. You have to know why. It has to be very important, and it should stand out. It shouldn't be a wishy-washy kind of why. It should be very important to you, because if it is important to you, then you will take the necessary steps that is needed for you to take in order to reach that goal. So that is most important. Determine your why. Why do I want to buy a home? Now, the next thing you want to do is, in the process, you also want to think, as you're determining that why, you want to think, what is it going to do for me? If I buy a home, what is it going to do for me and my family? What one thing in the process that has to take place, that if it does happen, is going to be a successful situation in the process. You also want to think about that. And when you're discussing it with your realtor, you want to let him know this is important to you. Okay? And you also want to distinguish your needs from your wants. Now, when people start to, daydream or maybe dream about homes, they think about all kinds of things. And that's all well and good, because we're trying to dream. If you can dream, then you can have it. So it's good to dream. But when you're dreaming, make sure you dream with a point of making sure that that becomes a reality. It's very, very important. So sometimes you got to come to think about, what is most important to me in the process? What is most important that I want in a home? Those are the things that you want to list in the process when you're buying a home. You want to have those things first, and then any other thing can come later, because you got to understand that in the process, you're going to come to a stage where they call the pre-approval process. And whatever the amount that you've been pre-approved or pre-qualified for, that's the amount that you can afford to buy a home. So that is why it's important for you to determine from the goal, the onset, why do I want to buy a home, and what are the things that are important to me in owning a home, and what are the things that I will need to be in a home that is going to bring my life joy and peace, and whatever it's going to make you feel that you have succeeded in that process. So that is very, very important. And then the next step is that you also want to determine the time frame that you want to do this. How long, when do you want to be in the house that you're planning to buy? It shouldn't be, maybe in the next 2 months, or maybe within a year. You should have a fixed time. It's better to have a fixed time, because then you can work towards that time in the future. So have a start date and you have an end date in mind. That will make the process even more conclusive when you start to work through it, and it will seem more readily viable to you. So always have an end date in mind. When do you want to be in the house? Not when you want to buy, but when you want to be in the house, settle in the house. You want to have that time frame in mind as well. Another thing you want to also think about is how much do I want to pay on a monthly basis for mortgage. Now you also got to think about that because in view of the market, sometimes what you might want to get may be a little bit out of your range. So you got to determine what is the most important to you. What are the payment or what you want in a house or trying to secure the kind of house. So those are the things that you got to kind of think about as well. And another important thing is that you also want to determine where the house is going to be. Which area also determines where is another important factor in determining your process. Now, when you think about all of that and some more, then you want to kind of understand, which takes us to the next step, understanding the market. It's very important in a home buying process to understand what kind of market you're in, because that will determine which way or which route to take when you are negotiating in a home buying process. Is very, very important. So first, we're going to start with identifying the players in the market. Obviously, you the buyer, you very important, but you're going to be consulting or you're going to be working with either a salesperson or a consultant. So you want to determine who really is a salesperson and who is a consultant. Now, a salesperson is anyone who just wants to sell you a house and close a deal. That's a salesperson. Doesn't really care about your needs, doesn't really care about what you really going through. He doesn't care to understand any of that. He just want to make a sale and make a deal. That's a salesperson. Have you gone to a car dealership before to buy a car and you meet up with a car tenant or a car salesperson and they're just trying to sell you that car, provided whether you like it or not, they're trying to make sure you buy that car? That is a salesman mentality. However, you want to find somebody who will treat you from a consultant point of view. A consultant will help you to appreciate the process. First, he wants to understand the reason why. Why are you trying to make the decision? What is it going to do for you and your family if you do this? When would you want to do this? All of those good information will help him to understand how he can help you in the process to arrive at the conclusion that you're looking to arrive at. So it's very important to determine who is a salesperson and who is a consultant. As you can already see, you notice that I'm coming from the consultant point of view. I'm a strategist. I help people to understand the market, to understand their situation. I help them understand their situation and then tailor that situation to get them what they need. So that is what I do. And that's the approach we come from. We come from the consultant approach to help our clients meet their goals and dreams. So once you understand that, then you want to understand the market. There are different kinds of market in real estate. In real estate, we have the buyer's market, we have the seller's market, and we have the neutral market. Now, in the buyer's market, as it says buyer's market, quote unquote, means the buyer is in the upper hand. The buyer is in the driver's seat, so to speak. What that means is that there are lots of homes in the market. That means the supply of inventory of homes is high. There's a lot of homes supply in the market. But the people looking to buy homes, that is the buyer, the demand is very low. There's not so many people in the market. So as a result, when you have a few low demand rather, and then you have huge supply of inventory, what happened to price? You guessed it, it goes down. So that's what happened to price. So in that situation, the buyer has a lots of property to choose from. He can negotiate to really suit his situation. He can ask for settlement help. He can ask that this be done, that be done, they gotta be fixed, and whatever the case may be. Because while the seller is going to try to do all of those things because the seller is trying to sell a house. Okay, and but the buyer is in that position, so he's in the best position. He can negotiate to his advantage and get the best deal possible. Okay, now, but the reverse is the case in the seller's market. In the seller's market, you have the seller is in the driver's seat. And when the seller is in the driver's seat, meaning that there's fewer homes on the market and there are lots of buyers in the market. Now, what normally causes this situation of the seller's market? Well, it can be caused for certain few things, one of which is happening now is the interest rate. The interest rate causes a lot of people to come in the market. Well, but when you think about the seller's market, you have a lot of buyers in the market, so your approach to negotiation going to be a little bit, not a little, it's going to be a drastically different. Let me say it that way, not little. It's going to be drastically different than when you end up in a buyer's market. So in this case, you want to be a little bit aggressive in your negotiation in a way that you negotiate to the seller so that you can be favorable to the seller. How do I mean? What do I mean? Well, in the buyer's market, you will negotiate to favor yourself. You'll be asking for settlement help and all of that good stuff. But in the seller's market, you want to leave some things out. Maybe stuff like home inspection that you want to do home inspection. If the house doesn't really look like it needs a home inspection, why not table that and do that after the sale? You know, for your own purpose. Or maybe you can say home inspection is for buyer's information purpose only. So you can still do the home inspection, but you're not going to ask the seller to fix anything. Or maybe you can still do the home inspection and ask the seller to fix any item that is maybe above $2,500 or more, or above $2,000 or more, or $3,000 or more, depending on whatever you feel comfortable that the seller will accept. And you can also make sure that you're negotiating. Full price offer is always good, but above price offer is always better, because you're going to have maybe 3, 4, or 10 buyers making an offer on a property. So you want to make sure that your offer stand out. That's the most important part. You want to make sure that your offer stand out, and try as much as possible that your agent talk to the seller's realtor to find out what exactly that they're looking for in the sale, and then try to meet what the seller is looking for. That's the only way you can be able to get the sale. All right, so that's understanding the seller's market. Now, when you come to the neutral market, neither buyer or seller has the upper hand. That's normally like a neutralized market, an equal market. You have pretty much equally the amount of buyers equal to the seller, and that calls for a smooth transaction. Most of the time, it's going to be a level market. So understanding this information can really help you to appreciate the process going forward. So when you understand what kind of market you're in, you will be in a position to be able to negotiate appropriately so that you can get the house of your dream. So that will conclude this portion of the home buying process 101. Stay tuned for home buying process 102. See you in the next video.